CWPA Remote.
Hi, I'm Ed Hawes, Director of Communications for the Collegiate Water Polo Association. And this is CWPA Remote. Speaking today is Carthage College alum and current Pomona Pitzer assistant coach, Elyssa Hawkins. How are you doing?
Living the dream in quarantine. How are you, Ed?
Well, okay. Well, you've kind of seen everything.
Yeah.
Illinois native, played at Carthage, now out in sunny California. Why don't you talk a little bit about how you got to Pomona Pitzer and your experiences at Carthage?
Sure. So one of the things actually that I really loved about my time at Carthage was just how much it helped me kind of grow my love for the sport of water polo. So after I graduated, I stayed involved with club in the Chicagoland area. And through that, I had kind of found that while working for a nonprofit, I thought, well, there was a lot of fun. There wasn't necessarily opportunities for growth. And so when there were a lot of job openings for assistant coaches at the collegiate level, I had decided why not give it a shot. And so I had applied and interviewed with a number of places. And when the position at Pomona Pitzer opened up, I was not necessarily certain that anything would really happen because of the reputation the program had kind of built upon itself. And so I decided, you know what, why not? I'm already applying to these other places. What's one more going to be like? And during that whole interview process, it was just, I think, just very different. And I would have to say that I am incredibly grateful that Alex Law, who I interviewed with first, and then with Alex Rodriguez and Law together, had kind of seen something in me, because I was very much just kind of sitting there thinking, you know, I don't know what's going to happen, but we're going to try. And so I was just kind of incredibly grateful, because even then when I had come on to the team, they had talked a lot about we interviewed with a number of different people, and we had talked to a lot of other coaches who had a lot of experience. And so I said, why me? And they're like, well, you seem to be the most willing to work. And so I thought, all right, that sounds good. And I think that was one of the biggest things that I learned in my time at Carthage, was just being willing to put that work in, because the work that you put in is what you get out of it. And so I would say that a lot of my experience at Carthage was just embracing the grind and working hard had paid off in the long run with being able to join Pomona Pitzer.
All right. Well, you mentioned you were a high school coach as well. What experience did you take from the high school ranks of coaching and kind of getting your feet wet and coaching there to where you are now at Pomona Pitzer?
I would say the biggest things that I took away from my experience with coaching in high school, as well as with age group club, was the fact that one, the fundamentals are extremely important, whether you are starting out in the sport for the first time or you've been playing for 8+ years. Those are all incredible. The fundamentals are always going to be what carries over when it comes to what sort of plays you do, or when you're training for your upcoming games. I would also say that the other big thing that I really took away from those experiences was just how important having that sense of empathy is, whether it's from the coaching side or just promoting that into your team culture. And I think that was the biggest thing that especially carried over with Pomona Pitzer, because of the fact that the team was really close together, not just because everyone was working hard, but because everyone was empathetic to whatever personal situations were going on outside of the pool. And so I think the biggest thing was definitely just promoting that sense of empathy in your team culture, but also kind of promoting an idea of accountability and that everybody is working hard together, and as well as openly communicating if there are situations or conflicts that do come up, and as well as just that time management, because our first years, they really did a great job in terms of carrying over the idea of having to manage your time between school and athletics, especially because the class schedule is different from high school, and it's not nearly as structured as you have all your periods at a time. And just being able to kind of communicate, hey, I've got a class that means I'm going to be late for practice. And so being able to have that conversation rather than kind of thinking, oh, well, I can't take this class for my major, so too bad. And so just really kind of promoting that mindset of how important academics and communicating with your coaches is, so that you can have the best possible relationship.
All right. Illinois native, now in California. You went to Hinsdale Central High School.
Hmm.
What would you say the difference is from what you saw in high school with the game to what you're seeing in California now, coaching out in Pomona Pitzer and
Hmm.
living in the sunshine rather than the balmy
Peaches.
summers of Chicago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like 95 degrees in the summer and negative 95 degrees in the winter, it seems.
oh yeah. I would definitely say that the biggest differences I've kind of seen are when I was playing in high school, because of the fact that swimming is very popular in Illinois, there was definitely a lot more emphasis on the counterattack. There was a lot more emphasis on winning the sprint to be able to have the quickest ways to score. And so kind of focusing a lot on the swimming side of things and just countering. Whereas I think the biggest difference I've seen out here is that, or at least with Pomona Pitzer, has just been the idea that there are actual plays, or there are various ideas for plays that can be run. And it's not to say that there is no such thing as plays in Illinois. I just think that a lot of coaches in Illinois take more advantage of the fact that they do have athletes who have a lot of swim experience. And so they focus a lot on how to capitalize on those skills as much as they can. Whereas I think California, that's being able to be a really great swimmer is one thing, but then they kind of, but at least with working with A-Rod and Law, it's been a lot of, all right, so that's one thing. Now we're going to take that a step further. Now we're going to further elevate to focusing on how to move on a 6-on-5, or if we are going from countering to transition. And so it's seemingly, I think, a lot more detailed, but at the same time, there's still a lot of room to capitalize on what has already been, or like being able to capitalize on the skills that athletes already have.
Sure. Well, you in California now, what's the long range plan for you for coaching? Do you want to stay in coaching long term, or are you looking for a head coaching job down the road?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, for me, like, this has definitely been one of the things that has brought me the most joy in my life, is just water polo, whether it's been as a player, as a coach. And I think one of the biggest things too that I had talked a lot about was the fact that I want to see the sport grow more, and and down that road, I want to be able to take advantage of opportunities to either be a head coach for a Division III program, or be able to learn from other teams, other coaches, to further that resume and be able to get to that point of being a head coach with a lot of experience. And I think too, one of the things that's really awesome to see is just how many schools are looking to add water polo and looking to grow further. And so that's one of the things that down the road I see myself doing and have a strong desire for. And so so for right now, I'm just excited to be able to learn more, be able to expand more on some of the things that I'm already really skilled at, be able to further grow as a coach, and from there be able to take those experiences and skills to another program.
All right. Looking at your bio, your father played soccer at Hartwick. Your sister played Hartwick at Georgia State. How did you end up in water polo? Everyone else is soccer.
Well, that's actually a really funny story. So my father was definitely really big on soccer. He not only played at Hartwick, but he played professionally and played at the highest level with the national team. And so it seemed like it was definitely inevitable that he'd want all of his kids to play soccer. But for me, I kind of turned around and told him, look, so I don't like the idea of running a lot. It's not really my thing.
Okay.
And so he had said, okay, well, you still have to play a sport because you're not going to sit at home and on the couch watching TV all day. And so I said, okay, fine, I will try another sport. And so after some trial and error, I had really liked swimming a lot, just because it was something that was different. I couldn't really see myself sweat. So it was definitely something that I couldn't use as an excuse. And then from there, my park districts and coaches had said, hey, like, we're trying out water polo, you should give it a go. And through that, I was able to really kind of fall in love with that. And so then and this was actually all before my family had moved to Chicagoland. We were in Texas before. And so when we moved out there, and I found out my high school team had water polo, I was like, oh, this is great. Why not give it a go? And so from there, I was able to grow even further. And I think in retrospect, my dad definitely agrees. It was probably for the best I wasn't playing soccer, because I would have just, because he goes, yeah, I don't know if you'd ever stop complaining about having to run all the time.
Well, they say you actually swim further in a game of water polo than you actually run in a game of soccer. So you're getting your cardio in, if nothing else.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. And the added egg beater, like, I'm good to go.
Well, you both a player and now a coach. So two-part question.
All right.
What do you wish you knew when you started playing as a player that you knew at the end? And then same thing for coaching. What do you wish that you knew or when you started coaching that you know now?
Okay.
Tough questions, I know, but
Yeah. Ooh, but that's kind of what makes it fun, is that they're ones that make you think. I would say, as a player, I definitely wish I knew. I think I definitely wish I knew the difference between a counterattack and a transition offense, because I think, kind of like what I had touched on before, one of the biggest things in high school was always focusing on that counter, always kind of focusing on trying to get a shot off from that. Whereas a transition, there's a little bit more thought that's put into it. And I definitely think in retrospect, being able to understand the difference between the two, I think is super vital for any player across the board. And I think that, and I know that if that was something I was able to really get a grasp on throughout my playing career, I think it would have been something that, I think in terms of my own growth, it would have just further helped my understanding of what I could do to contribute to my team, versus just kind of thinking, oh, I could just swim to the other end of the pool and it's fine. So I think being able to transition, like, okay, I could try to go for that kind of the end of the pool, but I could also think about how to be able to help my teammates, whether it's having to transition into a forecourt or be able to transition in a way that we could get a 6-on-5 opportunity. And so I think that's my biggest thing as a player. As a coach, I think one of the things that I kind of wish I knew that I definitely know now is just to have confidence in myself and have confidence in just being who, and just understanding, like, all right, so I know that I'm really great in these aspects, but I want to recognize how I can grow in these, and being able to, from there, and be able to still use those as a way of helping other athletes. Because I think, while all athletes definitely want to grow when it comes to a skill level, I think there's other things that are also just as vital, whether it's with mental health or being able to have resources to talk to. And so I think for me personally, while I definitely can play into some strengths, I know that there's things that I need to work on with others, and just being able to recognize those, but also still be able to be myself and be like, if you ever need, be able to tell my athletes, if you ever need anything, whether it's to just talk or to check in and see how you're doing, just let me know. Or if you ever need to ask questions, that's what I'm here for. But then also to, I think, just having confidence in that it's okay not to have every single answer, because it should, because the point is that you are growing, that you are learning. And so those are things that I definitely know now, and I'm really excited to carry forward into the fall with the men.
All right. That seems like a good place to stop. Thank you for doing this. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
Good luck next year. And don't be a stranger. You can always come home to the CWPA. You can always come back to the CWPA. So
I'll keep that in mind. Thank you again so much for having me, Ed. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Thank you.